Healing a Past Life. A story from 60-year-old Hiroumi Sunagawa. Hiroumi was born in Okinawa. Before moving to the United States at age 7, he lived for an extended time with his aunt on the small island of Miyakojima, which is halfway between Okinawa and Taiwan. Hiroumi shared one of his childhood experiences during that time. The native language of Miyako was still spoken there, just as the native Okinawans retained their original dialect, even though the official language on both islands was Japanese. My aunt's husband was the head of a small community whose sole purpose was to grow, harvest, and convert sugarcane into a unique beer. The factory even bottled the beer by hand. A number of the factory workers, including my aunt's family, lived in concrete dwellings located around the factory. Because of the close-knit community, it wasn't unusual to allow children to wander around the countryside and return home when the bell was rung in the factory courtyard to let everyone know that dinner was about to be served in the dining hall. One day, I walked along a hillside dirt road and heard music coming from a sanshin, a form of oriental banjo with 3 strings. I noticed an elderly man sitting in the middle of the floor of his single-room hut with the wide sliding doors on 2 sides fully opened to allow the cool breeze to pass through. He was facing away from the road and therefore didn't notice that I had stopped to listen. His hut was about 25 feet from the edge of the narrow road. Next door to the old man's hut was another hut. An elderly woman came out into her front yard with a basket full of wet laundry that she apparently was going to hang on the small wash line. When she saw me standing in the road listening, she called for me to approach her. When I arrived next to her, she told me, "Don't go into that old man's yard. Leave him alone." "Why?" "He wants to be left alone and will become angry if anyone disturbs him." I went back to the road where I'd been standing and continued to listen to the man playing. The woman quickly finished hanging the wash and re-entered her hut. The old man began playing another tune and started to sing in a raspy voice. After a few moments, without thinking, I began to softly sing along with the man. It wasn't my ability to sing that was unusual. Many had remarked to my mother that I seemed to have a natural talent for singing, even to the point of singing impromptu songs made up for the occasion at hand. What was unusual was singing the song the old man was playing. Again, without thinking, my singing increased in volume, and suddenly the man stopped playing, quickly spun around, and saw me standing on the road in front of his yard. He put down his instrument and came outside. He motioned for me to come closer. I did as he requested, and with a puzzled expression on his face, he asked, "How did you know that song I was playing?" "I used to sing the song and remember it," I said. He scolded me and accused me of being a liar. He said that "You're too young to know that song. How do you know that song? My guardian guide appeared for a moment, standing behind the elderly man. As my eyes met my guide's, my guide instructed me, "Don't be afraid. Tell the man what you feel." And then my guide disappeared. This gave me calm, and I said, "I used to sing the song with you when you and I played together as children." His face first had a look of shock, which quickly turned to anger. "You're a liar. Go away." And he slapped me across the face. The elderly woman next door had been secretly watching, and when the old man stormed back into his hut, she motioned me over. I walked over to her and she admonished me, "I warned you to leave that old man alone. Maybe now you'll believe me. You go home now." A few days later, I found myself along the same hillside dirt road. And once again, the old man was sitting in his opened hut, playing his instrument. But this time, he was facing the road. And when I stopped to listen, he stopped playing. Immediately, he began singing a tune while keeping his eyes on me. As he struck the strings of his instrument, I was drawn into the music and began to sing the song with him. He stopped playing, but I continued to sing. He started playing another tune and began singing it as I listened. He stopped singing and shouted, "You don't know this one, do you, little liar?" and began singing the new tune once again. I joined in with him, singing the song. He stopped and came to the edge of his hut, sitting on the steps. He motioned me over, and as I walked the short distance, I noticed the elderly woman next door shaking her head, no, trying to get me to stop, but I continued forward. The old man said, "When I was young, I had a best friend, and he and I would sing these old folk songs. The songs of my youth now are lost to the new generation. Things have changed." With a worried look, he asked me again, "How do you know these songs so well?" "I told you, you and I used to sing these songs when we were young, and we were friends." But this time, instead of becoming riled, silent tears slipped down his cheeks. "What is your name?" "My name used to be Miyako, but now my name is Hiroumi." His mouth dropped open, and he pulled me forward. "Is it you?" he asked, while holding the sides of my face with his hands. "Yes, but now I have a different name." He invited me inside, and after brewing some green tea, he asked me questions about my life. He smiled and then asked, "Can you stay a little longer and sing songs together?" I did. Afterwards, as I walked outside, the next door elderly woman asked me to come over. "What happened?" she said. I gave her a simple answer. "We became friends again." "Again?" she asked. I laughed and ran down the dirt road. I visited my friend for the next few months, and we sang songs together every day. Soon after, the old man died from an illness, and I was to accompany a small group up to the top of a high hill where his remains would be placed. I didn't know I was experiencing a funeral. I had no concept of death. While standing on the top of that hill, looking across the vast, endless ocean, a mental bookmark was placed in my memory, a mark that would be referenced later. Decades later, my guide shared with me that the man had grown bitter with life because everyone he had known and loved, and the culture in which he had lived, were all gone. And I was sent to that island to perform a side mission to bring comfort and laughter to that man so that he could die with joy in his life. I had reconfirmed to the elderly man that there is life after death, and that death is merely a transition. In his last life, Hiroumi was childhood friends from about the age of 6 with the elderly man. And then Hiroumi, in that past life, went to war. So they were friends for about 12 years. They were like brothers. Hiroumi senses that he died in that last lifetime at 19, which would be around 1905, as a Mayako native in the Japanese army. He was reborn as Hiroumi in 1955.